we would just follow everything that he would say. Like,
This former student didn't want to be identified. She followed Lenz for 5 years.
He would choose everything for you?
pretty much. I can't think of anything he didn't.
You can't think of anything he didn't?
No,
So
I
he
can't.
chose your clothes?
He would give us an idea of what type of clothes to wear, what radio station to listen to, music to listen to, stock options to buy, you know, and you would just do exactly these things. He'd say, do exactly as I say, and you won't have any problem in your life.
The closer they got to Lenz, his former students say, the farther they got from their own families.
Well, that brings up that famous word, being inaccessible. That's like a Rama cult word, which meant a lot of people changed their names. They wouldn't let anybody know where they lived.
Lenz encouraged his students to electronically drop out of sight. Addresses become P.O. boxes, phones become voicemail or email.
Why are so many of your students on, like, P.O. boxes and voicemail?
Well, we live in an electronic medium, and we're dealing with people who are in computer science. And so that's mainly our medium of transmission, is voicemail, pager.
Well, I've been online since 1990, and I don't have a P.O. box.
Yeah, well, you know, we're technologists.
Although some of the parents of some of your students have suggested that this keeps them from communicating with their children.
Well, all they have to do is call their voicemail.
Lenz's teachings insist you should insulate yourself from people with bad energy. Lenz says because he's enlightened, he can recognize bad energy. On his cassettes, he warns his students.
Some people, they're like psychic sponges, and they just drain power from others constantly. They lower your awareness because they're at a lower level. And if you spend too much time with them, you get pulled down. It happens.
He was very adamant that we were to not interact with other human beings except for people in the group, because other human beings outside the group are slime, low vibe people.
Low vibe,
mhm.
slime people.
Right.
What did you think about that?
I fell for it, hook, line, and sinker.
Lenz denies that he controls people, and he dismisses virtually all the charges his former students make against him.
People say terrible things about you because you're successful and they're jealous, or they're angry, or upset, or maybe there were just some genuine misunderstandings or different opinions. But that doesn't mean you've done anything wrong. If you've done anything wrong, you're going to end up in a courtroom.
Avoiding court is a funny measure of morality from a spiritual leader. But his students believe. Like this woman who says she fell for Lenz's many teachings about sex during a strange 5-year relationship.
You dated her, right?
Mm-hmm.
What was your first date?
I don't remember the first date, but...
Did you go out on...
But you know, we dated, yeah,
Movies,
you know, like people do.
dinner?
Yeah, romance, you know. Dating's okay, right?
Dating is fine.
I'm just checking.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you say it as if there's something wrong with dating somebody.
No, there's nothing wrong with dating.
I just want to make sure.
No, I mean, she...
In America, we can date, right?
Yeah, I never had a date with him, unless you call going to bed a date.
According to former students, Lenz taught that going to bed with him was the only way for women to tap into good energy. All other men drained energy. So when Lenz called this woman to his bed at night 12 times, each time she'd thank him.
What were you thanking him for?
That he was raising my awareness, that he was getting rid of karma for me.
By sleeping with you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he said when he's having sex with a woman, it's not really sex, it's an exchange of energy.
The more contact you had with his body, the more of this energy you were going to get?
Yes, and that I started feeling like I was someone special if he allowed me to touch him at all.
How would you characterize that relationship?
I characterize it as a very beautiful relationship.
She claims you never dated, though.
Oh, well, we did.
Oh, you slept together 12 times. But you never went out on a date.
She counted?
I guess you didn't.
I felt like I was his whore.
Lenz today says this woman is nothing more than a scorned lover and a paid cult deprogrammer, something she denies. But Lenz does admit to having had relationships with a number of his young women students.
I will tell you this, if he was a tenured professor doing this with his female students, he'd be out of a job.
But Lenz can't be fired as a spiritual leader. And the more Jim Piccarello thought about leaving Lenz, the more he feared that there was something spiritually wrong with him. So he stayed.
He took away my identity, everything that I was replaced by a new identity. I was under direct mind control, where my critical thinking was out the window.
Jim Piccarello's mom was worried enough to contact another parent whose child also had become a student of Frederick Lenz.
And that's when the panic set in.
So they gave you a worst-case scenario,
They gave me the scenario of what their child was living through.
and that was?
Horrible. It was being controlled by Frederick Lenz, having all their money go to Frederick Lenz, sleeping on floors, no personal belongings, mentally distraught, not seeing the family, emotionally gone.
And suddenly, that looked like your future.
That was my future.
So Sue O'Hearn hired a counselor to rescue her son. She says it took a team of family members, friends, and a cult expert to break the hold Frederick Lenz had on Jim. Jim described it as like popping out of a year-long dream. And what about the visions? Rooms turning to gold. It was all just parlor room hypnosis, Jim says today. Old tricks from a new age guru.
The term confidence man, it's con man, confidence man. If you can make someone feel confident, they trust you. It's just human nature.
And former students say Frederick Lenz has turned that trust into a gold mine. How he does it is a whole other story.
When we come back, the Lenz money-making machine, separating fact from fiction.
What's the largest corporation using your product?
I don't know. I haven't checked the sizes of them, but some huge corporations are using the products.
Some names.
Well, I mean,